Live.
Okay. So we've got Kirsten on. So welcome. This is the Wise Women's Business Center Power Hour, and I am so excited today. We've got two clients of ours from the Wise Center that are going to be talking today a little bit about fears, some of the fears of being an entrepreneur, because as we step into this role, we end up knowing that we are excited about doing it, but then there's also the fear that might stop us. So I am Barb Stone. I'm one of the business counselors here, and I'm so excited to be here. And I'm so excited to support these clients and these individuals that are really putting their good work out in the world. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a commercial for the Wise Center if you haven't heard about us yet. So now you're going to hear about us. But what we do is we help female business owners in Central New York develop smart and successful business strategies. We offer one-on-one coaching, free online training, virtual networking events, and hopefully soon you're going to be hearing about some live events because it's time. We really need to get back and be able to see people. And with me today, and I want you to know, we are really committed to your success and knowing that you do not have to go it alone. You can get yourself advisors and a support, a team, a tribe of people that are going to help you through this process. And with this is Caeresa Richardson, who is another phenomenal business coach counselor at the Wise Center. So Caeresa, tell us a little bit about yourself there.
Hi there. Thank you so much for that introduction, Barb. So I am Caeresa Richardson. I'm the owner, founder, and CEO of Ecodessa, which is a retail shop in downtown Syracuse, but I'm also a proud business coach at the Wise Women's Business Center. And just like Barb mentioned, we, the three of us, there are three business coaches here, with a generous grant, the Wise Women's Business Center provides free one-on-one coaching to women entrepreneurs in the area. So thank you so much, Barb. So much looking forward to our conversation today.
Yeah, great. So I'm so excited. I'm going to give our guest speakers, our guest panel, a little bit of a chance to be able to introduce themselves, talk a little bit about what they do with their business. And then we're going to open up for some questions, and Caeresa and I will be asking them questions, and also open up the questions to the people, the viewers that are watching, because this is really important. How do you really overcome that fear? So with that, Joni, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Hi, I'm Joni. I am the owner of Rhinestone Lifestyle. It's a new business, and I turn unused, reclaimed fabrics into everyday items, useful items that are designed for longevity and a little bit of whimsy, a little bit more fun. So right now, my core products are tote bags, masks, scrub caps, and pet bandanas. And the goal is basically to try and keep all of that fabric out of landfills, because right now around the globe, we send about 17 million tons of textiles to the landfill every year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Thanks for that, Joni. I didn't know that.
I double checked the stats this morning.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. Thank you. And thank you for doing what you do. And Jeannie Brockmeyer. Yeah, there you are, unmuted.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me here. I am Jeannie Brockmeyer. I'm the co-owner and CEO of Absolute Precision. We are a precision manufacturing facility in Wolcott, just northwest of Syracuse. We make, and I apologize if I have a little background noise because a machine shop has a lot of, we've got some loud machines out there. We make precision, mostly metal components for different industries like medical, aerospace, optical, and we focus on customer service and take pride in what we do in providing high precision components to our customers.
Cool, great. So I'm going to just open it up a little bit to both of you, and you can both pipe in, and then Caeresa will both just get in there. But I want to talk a little bit about some of when you first stepped into this role and started working in your business, what were some of the roadblocks, the fears that developed roadblocks for you from, excuse me, to really moving and stepping into your business? Jeannie, you can start.
Okay, so, well, mine was pretty large to me. So being in the manufacturing industry, as a woman meant that I was faced with stepping into a man's world, basically. Manufacturing is historically a man's world. And when I would set up a meeting with other CEOs, other owners, vice presidents, purchasing people, it was just men across the board. And so a roadblock for me was going into meetings or group settings or anywhere within this industry where I was expecting them to take me seriously in my role as a woman. And so that was a lot of evaluation on my part, and I set my boundaries and stayed focused and presented my business. And the roadblock was kind of me having to earn my place in the industry, where they might just step in, open a shop or what have you, and they just had their place in the industry. So that was a pretty big roadblock for me. Not just from the men's point of view, but women also. If I would introduce myself as, being with this company or being an owner in this company, what I typically would hear from other women was, "Oh, you do the books." And then I would have to graciously explain how I wear way more hats than just the books, not to minimize that part of it or someone in that position, but that for me, it was much more than that. I do way more than that. And so that roadblock, kind of a twofold roadblock, is something that I was faced with and had to deal with.
Yeah. Any specific things that you did to overcome that, Jeannie?
Making the decision to approach it with, a big, taking a deep breath, stepping back and deciding what my approach was going to be, because I do marketing and sales for the company, as well as a lot of other things. So I was out there a lot, whether it was association, networking settings, or individual one-on-one with other companies. And I would make it very clear without speaking that I had boundaries set. I always eye contact, men and women talking might, how do I say this, might veer off into an unprofessional setting. I made sure that my boundaries are set always clear, and I'm always focused. I always stay focused on the business at hand, and we talk about the business at hand. And setting my boundaries was key for then I would, that respect level. I had respect for myself, and the respect level then came back around, or not came back around, but it was just present.
Cool. Thank you for sharing.
So it's almost like you were setting the pace.
Oftentimes that's what has to happen.
Yeah.
Good.
Can I ask you, when you started, like, when did you break into this? How long ago?
2003.
Okay. Not quite as evolved in 2003. Not that we're overly evolved, industries, but yeah.
Joni, how about you? Talk about some of the fears that you had to overcome with your roadblocks that you had developed, and because you initially started your business in 2013.
Yeah. So I signed up for DBA in 2013. But I was always planning on doing a more traditional career path. This was going to be like a side thing. I was in school, and I actually ended up graduating in August of 2019. And as you can probably figure out from that timeline, 2020 happened soon after, and there were a number of roadblocks. I find that as a solo entrepreneur, it's a bit different from what Jeannie just described, because a lot of it was my own stuff. So some of it I can't control, like chronic illnesses, but some of it is just imposter syndrome. No one else in my family has started their own business. I didn't have necessarily a model to look at. And some people are more supportive than others. So you learn who to talk to about business and who not to talk to about business if you can help it. And just trying to find the balance of what I am able to do and focus on that, because our brains like to go to what we can't do, and working on some of those more internal roadblocks.
Almost sounds like what's working, focusing on what's working as opposed to something that's not working, so that you can overcome that fear of that imposter syndrome from there.
Because then anything that's not working triggers the I can't do this, but no, all these other things are still working, so you can.
Yeah. So what would be one thing that you would end up thinking about telling some new entrepreneurs that are coming into their own business about how to overcome some of the fears or overcome anything that is getting in the way from, like, Jeannie, you set the boundaries. Joni, you had to recognize that imposter syndrome. What's some things that you would end up giving an advice to other up and coming entrepreneurs?
Find your cheerleaders.
So talk more about your cheerleaders, Joni.
Well, you have to kind of identify who's, even if they haven't done this before, who's happy for you, who's proud of the little steps that you are taking at the time, and who maybe isn't. And it's, depending on who those people are, it's sometimes easier said than done. But I've learned not, if I can help it, not to bring up business with some people. And then when I need to talk through something, these are the people I talk through. You've got your core group. I call it cheerleaders. Figuring that out is key for me.
It's your it's your tribe, it's your group of advisors, it's the people that are going to be supporting you there as you're going through the process. Right. And what are some examples of your cheerleaders?
You.
and
get yourself a Barb.
And who else is around there?
So there are a few of my friends who are really excited that I've started this, who have been really just really sweet about it. And so like those are the people I talk to when I'm having a frustrating day or something is really going well, or, and there are some, like I said, no one in my family or friends group I have one friend who started their own business, but something wildly different to me. You just key into those people, and honestly, therapy. And I keep those people on speed dial, basically.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Joni. And I think the important thing is knowing, as an entrepreneur, we don't need to go it alone. we can really think about tapping into the resources that we've got here. Jeannie, how about you?
So as far as some things, I've kind of a couple things that I would really hone in on, advice to a new business owner. Thoroughly evaluate your strengths and weaknesses, because your strengths are, those come through strong, they're, you really want to thrive on those. Your weaknesses can bring you down if you don't address them. And to evaluate the weaknesses and then ask. I really probably can't say that enough. Ask for whatever reasons, however you need help. Maybe start locally, start around your town or around your industry peers to find out about getting help for those weak areas that could help you, that will help you be stronger as a business owner. And they can also help you if you have strong areas, you can gain information and interest in those areas as well. So looking inside and doing that self-evaluation for yourself and for the parts of your business, the different aspects of what needs to be done, and then really take a deep breath and ask.
Okay, all right. Caeresa, would you like to pipe in here?
Absolutely. I think all of the points that were raised so far are fascinating. Jeannie, specifically, the challenge that you mentioned about other people, basically, like a lot of times in business and just in our professional careers, sometimes our roadblocks are actually real people, right? They're people and they show up as other people's feelings, observations, or reactions to us being in a space. And it's all just based on their own bias and things. But that is absolutely a challenge, especially as a woman in business, definitely as a woman in business in a male-dominated field. But I think in general, just as a woman in business, we do go through a lot of times having to break through other people's bias and beliefs in order to achieve what we want. And then Joni, your point about imposter syndrome. So again, we all face this professionally in our professional careers, but absolutely, it's something you still face as an entrepreneur, even when you're working for yourself. So imposter syndrome, for those who aren't really familiar with the term, it's that feeling of like, I'm not sure I really belong here. Like, I don't, even if you project on the outside to other people that you're really confident and you know your stuff and all the stuff, right? We still sometimes get that little demon in the back of our head that makes us look left and right and say, like, what are you actually doing here? Right? Like, look at this person, look at that person. How did you get to this table, right? That is actually very much a real thing that even entrepreneurs working for themselves feel, and it's internal. I think women, though, actually have a unique form of imposter syndrome that the risk is because of other people's bias. It can feel like that imposter back there is being validated by other people's perceptions, right? So having to watch out when that's happening, if someone really is challenging you in your professional space, right? Challenging you just being there, thinking that you are just the numbers girl or whatever they want to say, that could potentially feel like that it's validating your imposter syndrome. Like, maybe I really don't belong here, right? So we have to be conscious of that fear and constantly challenging it. So such great points, ladies.
Yeah. It's I end up thinking all the time, it's like I have to FACT check. Is it my head? Is it reality? Or is it somebody else projecting something on me that is creating that fear inside of me that creates that imposter syndrome. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'd love to, Barb, jump back to something, Joni, you mentioned about making sure you know who your allies are. That's really important through any of our professional lives, and especially as entrepreneurs. You need to get that team, that personal board of directors, right? So your business absolutely should have that, but you personally, you need those cheerleaders that will help like block out the noise from other people. That's technically really all what cheerleaders are in professional sports. Like they help encourage the sports team by getting all of these other people to rile up the sports team and just hype them up. Like you need that, right? So they're not only hyping you up, but they're also hyping everyone else up and talking about you and spreading the word about the awesome things that you're doing in your business, which I think is a great point, Joni.
So let's move on. So we've got, you've given us some advice. One of the things that as you are doing your being an entrepreneur and trying to overcome some of the fears and everything that's really happening at you and coming at you, can you start thinking about what might have been something really a focal point or something that was pivotal in your journey as an entrepreneur that really made you really want to take that leap? Because Joni, you have taken a leap. I know, Jeannie, you have taken a leap. So I'm wondering, what was that? Is there a specific pivotal moment that might have really said, okay, I'm just going to step in front of this fear. I'm just going to let it go behind me, that little saboteur, that little mindset that I've got going on. Was there anything specific? Jeannie, I'm going to turn to you first.
For me, it was through evaluation, as I'm always evaluating myself in my area, is realizing that I'm the only one who can make changes for me and for my surroundings that affect me. So it was coming to that realization that I make changes for me. So, sitting up inside, I call it sitting up inside, sit up and then I was ready to move forward and make, take those steps forward to address those things that I needed to address, any lingering fears or any other roadblocks that were standing in my way for my business to grow or go whatever direction that I wanted it to go. So that realizing that I needed to make those changes, and then I needed to, what did I need to do for those steps, to put those steps in place and for those changes to happen.
So Jeannie, I'm just going to build on that a little bit. What do you think some of the steps were for you to do that? To really be that leader of yourself and moving yourself forward and recognizing that you yourself were responsible for it.
Well, through that evaluation, is recognizing what areas did I lack in the information? Was I not taking care of as well as I should in my business?
Yeah.
Where did I need help? And reaching out to the Wise Center was pivotal for me, which they introduced me to you. That was a huge step forward for me at that particular point. Over the years, is trying to realize what I needed to know better, because we don't know what we don't know until we learn that we should have known that. So asking what I can do, because I'm the one making changes for me.
Yeah. And you stated, sometimes I don't know what I don't know. And sometimes it's like, I don't know what to ask. And it's like, you know, and it's again, still going back to the group around you, your advisors, being able to, you know, move that forward. Great.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Joni, how about you? Is there like, because you seriously ended up saying, okay, during 2020, you know, you had this concept, you had this idea, and you finally, what was that pivotal moment that said, I'm going to do this now?
There were a couple slightly more concrete. I can point to it and say this is what made it happen. So early on, like right as 2020 got started, I knew that there was a plastic bag ban coming, and I can't let my friends and family have ugly bags. So I was making them for friends and family. And then 2020 did its 2020-ness. And like I did mention, I had been job searching for a traditional go to an office job, but I have some chronic illnesses. So it made me think I need to do something that's at home that I can work when I'm able to work. And then at a certain point, I did contact Wise, and we were just kind of talking about the idea. And then I looked at my bank account and said, no one's gonna come bail me out here. And I knew it was a little bit out of necessity. I wish there was a better inspiration, but sometimes necessity is the inspiration to just say, if I don't do it now, it's probably not going to happen. So let's just do it.
Yeah. And you did it. And you're really moving forward in it. And you're also, you know, Joni, so many things came up that, oh, maybe I can't do this and maybe I can't do that. But you kept like bumping into walls and different fears that came up. And you kept moving forward.
There's a lot of fear, anxiety, like I said, naysayers. And like Caeresa said, that, you know, you get one naysayer to say just the right phrase and you think it's validating that little voice in your head. And sometimes you just need a tiny bit of spite to prove them wrong.
Yeah. So ladies in Facebook, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask of the panel or of Caeresa and I, please pipe in, because this is about you. You can talk a little bit about some of the fears that come up as you are developing your business, and that we can just openly talk about it, because I'm quite sure a lot of what you've heard here is really deep inside of you. And trust me, you know, Caeresa left a manufacturing career. I left a manufacturing career after 25 years to step out into my business as a leadership development coach. And what was that going to look like? And it's like, oh, can I do this? Can I not do this? And one of the things yesterday we were talking a little bit about is gulping. Yes, I'm excited about doing it. I want to do it, but oh my gosh, can I really do this? Do I have what it really takes to do it? It's all about stepping in, doing the assessment, and really saying, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses, and how can you really tap into what you need? Joni, understanding that imposter syndrome. So does anybody have any comments or questions I'd like to ask before we move forward?
Do we have to write them in the chat?
No, Kirsten, you can ask.
Oh, I don't. I don't. I wanted to know the rules.
Oh, you can, as we're having a dialogue here, if you'd like to write them in the chat, that's fine. Marty just ended up stating about, yeah, she can really relate to the imposter syndrome. We all do. We all have that piece that says, oh, I'm not as good as they are, and I can't do it. But what happens is you can find your voice in what you do and really being able to step into your own.
One thing I think might be, it's interesting when I look over my professional career prior to starting my business, a lot of the challenges that I had, I mean, certainly many as an entrepreneur, there are different challenges. But many of the challenges that I had that affected my professional career also spill over into entrepreneurship. And one of them that I feel like contributes to many of the fears that we have that either prevents us from moving forward in our business or that encourages us, because some people actually are motivated by fear. So that encourages us in our business. I think are a series of underlying beliefs that we have that impact how we show up in the world. So it's something I actually work with one of my mentors, Gwen Weber McLeod, on in her business, Gwenny. But sometimes evaluating, like doing a deep dive with yourself and realizing, what underlying beliefs you have, not that other people have that are impacting you, but that you have in the back of your head that are impacting how you show up in your daily life, will help you sort of overcome the fears that you're having, or even learn what's motivating you to push forward in your business. So an example of some of those is everyone's out to get me. I have nobody, right? That's an example. Another, I don't belong here. That imposter syndrome that you feel. Or another example, this is not possible. Like these ideas are way too big, or my bank account don't match these dreams, right? Like, one way to overcome these underlying beliefs that you have is to sit back and scan the evidence that will counter those beliefs, right? So this is not possible. I don't have the finances. Can you get a loan? Can you, what does it take? Can you build a plan can you start smaller and scale, right? Like taking chunks away from those beliefs will help you literally just take baby steps forward. And honestly, babies, right? Like they take these little bitty steps and then eventually you can't catch up with them, right? So it starts with those little baby steps.
Yep.
Yeah, fear of failure and success. Someone wrote, fear of success is a real thing. I coach people through this all the time. Some people have experienced trauma as it relates to being successful compared to others around them. So that really is a barrier to them mentally to do anything further in their careers or in their businesses, because after I progress past a certain point, then I'm no longer in alignment with all of these friends and family that I have, and people might start to not like me. Like, like that's a real thing. So what evidence do you have to support or counter that? Who can you align yourself with? What allies can you find? Maybe you need to get a new circle, right? Not everyone can be Beyonce's friend, So I think doing that exercise, at least for me as a business owner, is really encouraging, because when you don't, what happens with these things in our head is it becomes baggage and it becomes way too heavy to unleash. Like now you've got to do a lot of work, right? So if you can do it as they pile up a little at a time, it's easier sort of to move past them.
Yeah. As you were talking, I was just thinking about going back to the fact check, FACT check. Is it really, really real? I think about when I first quit my job, I ended up thinking about, I left my job on 12/31/2018. One of the two things I did immediately in January, one was contact the WISE Center to see what things were going on, and I wanted to show up for everything. The other thing was joining the WBOC, Women's Business Opportunity Connection. Okay. My first meeting in February, at the end, they ask you to stand up and tell a little bit about yourself and your business. And I'm here, a newbie. The name of my business is Build Your Path. And here I am as a coach. And I'm going, there must have been at least a dozen coaches in the room. And I kept on saying, who would want me? Who could I serve? And I just started, I looked at all of that as opposed to what could I do? How can I help? What's my voice? I'm different. I'm very different than the next person. And as I got to know the other coaches and we had a coaching group, yeah, what we serve is so different. Different target market, a different clientele, the process that we are working with is different. And one of those individuals I am now co-partnering with in doing some training and coaching for some different organizations because of the synergy. But I had to get out of that fear that, oh my gosh, who would want to work with me? Who am I? Who am I that has a voice? And who am I that would be able to help somebody? Does that resonate for anybody?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. Kirsten, you raised your hand.
Absolutely. And I think that it's shocking when you realize that that's actually part of the equation.
Mm.
That somewhere along the way, you had enough messages to stay pretty small, you know, and have a small little voice and take up a little teeny bit of room. I think it was other women really that were the ones that were actually pointing it out to me, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's take a look a little bit as women. One of the things is we think we have to do it all. All right.
And sacrifice all. We're all about sacrifice.
And sacrifice.
Give it up all. Give it all.
So one of the things to help you in overcoming some of those fears is to be able to take care of yourself, your self-care. You know, we talked a little bit about, you know, Jeannie, you talked a lot about checking in with yourself, the self-management. But what do you do to be able to help yourself overcome these fears and really be able to spend time with yourself and take care of yourself? What do you do for that?
Well, I take a lot of deep breaths. When I feel the anxiety creeping up, you know, I've got 7 different directions that I need to go in a day. Sit back and take a deep breath. Several deep breaths. I ground myself. I just have to sit back, deep breath. I have a habit of every morning I write at least 3 things I'm grateful for, and I write at least 3 affirmations for myself. And some days I miss, some days it doesn't happen, but I'm those are few and far between. I've made it a priority for me. That's a priority for me. When I start my day that way, it just flows so much better and so much more smoothly. That's starting my day that way. I have also had, I'm the person who's always I've always had real high expectations for balance in my life, my work life, my home life. I've always struggled with myself to balance so that everything is right. Everything gets done. Everything has to get done. I stepped back. I said, I'm going to give myself a break, and I'm not going to get it all done. I can't get it all done. I'm going to focus on the things that are priority, my home life, my work life. I'm going to lower my expectations of myself, and that's what I did, and that's what I do. And after I did that, things started balancing better. I was working so hard and putting so much energy into getting that balance that I would have never gotten it. Stepping back, deep breath, lowering my expectations, and giving myself a break to say, it's okay. I don't have to get that done. That can wait. This is more important. This needs to get done, and I want to get this done for my business, or I want this to get this done for my home life. Choosing between wants and needs, making that evaluation, and things started balancing better.
Yeah.
They'll never be 100% balanced because we're humans, and that's how way it is. But lowering my expectations didn't diminish me. It made me better.
Yeah. And it helped you put yourself out there. And instead of all the fear of not getting everything done, knowing it's okay.
Exactly. Always struggling with myself to, what if I don't get this done? What if I don't get this done? What if this customer doesn't call back because I can't get to this? Or those are all fears, and taking that step back and that deep breath and making those changes were really helpful for me.
Cool. Joni, how about you? What do you do to help yourself as far as self-care? What's that?
Back off the same idea. I'm a planner nerd, and and I've recently started doing the online calendars. And one thing I've found that does help, I think I can do more than I can. And so I really need to block out the time and see, okay, how much is realistic to get done in one day, or else I'm going to have a to-do list a mile long and then be upset I didn't get everything done because I'm not a superhuman. So the realistic expectations. And then what I like about specifically doing a calendar on the computer, or if you have a paper with different colored ink, I have a different color for work items, for taking care of the home items, for things I just need to take care of myself every day items, appointments, and then social things. And for a long time when I was getting started with the business, I let the social drop. And it was really getting to me. Like I needed to talk to my friends. I needed some sort of social interaction, and so you can see now, okay, do I at least have one or two things that are each color in, say, a week? Okay. And then also one thing I'm still learning to do, keep some white space. Because sometimes you don't need it to be full. Sometimes you need a break.
Yeah.
But to schedule all of that, and the day is never going to go exactly how I write it out, but to know what is realistic for a day, to make sure I'm trying to keep things, it's never going to be balanced, but if I can make sure I don't completely neglect housework for too long, and and just try and keep things going. I think the earlier you can figure out that system for you, the better.
So what I was hearing a lot was the fear of, when we start talking about self-care or being able to do that, it's the fear of, I have to do this. I have to do more because if I don't, I'm not working hard enough, fast enough. And so that becomes a fear. And we need to be able to, as Jeannie said, you had said, just take a step back. Joni, you're talking about your planner. You're talking about the white space in your day that is like a blank space that is for you to be able to sit back.
Yeah, because otherwise you forget to do it.
Yeah. Anybody else like to pipe in and into what they are doing to be able to have some self-care, to be able to overcome some fears in their life?
I think, Barb, one of the things we keep touching on that I think is important is building that tribe and surrounding your tribe. So your self-care and self-management plan, like you're talking about the deep breathing as opposed to shallow breathing. But I think it should also definitely include how often you engage with your tribe, right? And how often you pull energy from who you're calling your personal board of directors. Recognize who sucks energy from you, right? And maybe strategically give those people less space in your life, right? I think as entrepreneurs, what we are doing is hard. It's really not easy, right? A lot of what we're doing is we're creating markets, right? We're serving existing markets. We're doing it at significant risk and financial risk to ourselves, our physical, emotional health, as well as our families and things like that. So it takes a lot for us to convince ourselves to keep doing this every single day, right? It's easier to actually be like, forget it, right? So, but it's not for us, right? It's really challenging for us to actually come to that conclusion. So we have to be convincing ourselves every day and building a strong and healthy sustainable management plan. And I don't like to just say or self-management plan. I've recently learned the difference between self-management versus self-care, right? So self-care, something we binge and do, right? Like I go to the spa once a month or whatever, right? Self-management is what Jeannie, what you're talking about. What are you actively doing and making sure you do in the moment every single day, right? Taking a deep breath when you feel that anxiety come on in the moment, right? Taking a walk when you feel like that, or making sure you set up your daily coffees or whatever it is with the people that energize you. So I think those are all great points, ladies. Great tips.
Yeah. Marty made a comment here. I plan my calendar as well, discovering that slating office hours have helped relieve the fear of not having time to get things done. Yeah. Making your own office hours so that you can do what you need to do. Thanks for sharing that, Marty. Really much appreciated. Well, we're coming to the close of this Power Hour. And ladies, we just really appreciate you being here. Is there any last comments you'd like to, tips for overcoming your fears that you've done real fast? Jeannie.
I do. I believe in feeding my soul. I like to keep the toxins away. I don't want toxic people around me. I want that circle of people who are going to feed my soul. And that's very important to me.
Yeah. Thanks, Jeannie.
Feed me the good, feed me positivity, good feedback. And that helps to eliminate fear.
Feeding your soul, feeding your being. Love it. Joni.
I think don't underestimate all the little things. So Caeresa started to touch on it, where like the self-management sometimes is just little things like, did you take your meds that day? Did you make sure, like one of the things I do a lot is I'll batch cook a bunch on Sundays so I don't have to cook all the time during the week. And that helps me feel better throughout the week and not, rushing around and getting anxiety over little things all the time. And, save the text messages from your cheerleaders or write it out. post it on the wall. I have so many things, so many affirmations just in certain places around my house because sometimes you just need to see it and have a little reminder.
Yes, you need those reminders. So as we're coming to the end here, I'm Barb Stone with Caeresa Richardson, and we are the two of, and we have a new one, Dana, that has joined us recently, Wise Business Counselors, and we are here to serve you, to be part of your tribe so that you don't have to go it alone. Really surround yourself with the people as we've been talking about this. Caeresa?
Thank you, Barb, for hosting. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And again, do hope that all of you take us up on our opportunity to have your own one-on-one business coach. We're meant to be a part of your ally team. We're meant to be a part of that personal board of directors to help push you through overcoming some of these fears and overcoming some of your day-to-day challenges as a business owner.
Okay. Ladies, thank you. And hopefully we'll see you soon on another Power Hour, or stop by the Wise Center. We are now open, or take a look and see what we're offering to be able to. We're going to be starting another business plan intensive at the end of September. So watch for notifications, and also go to our website to sign up for those notifications if you haven't gotten them already. So with that, be well. Enjoy the rest of your summer. Oh my gosh, we are in August. So take care.
Thank you very much.
Take care, ladies.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.